Lieutenant Colonel L.B. Barnes, Commanding Officer, 3rd Recruit Training Battalion, will now address the audience.
Lieutenant General Ehlert, Colonel and Mrs. Smith, Colonel and Mrs. Guerin, honored guests, friends, and families of our graduating Marines, welcome and thank you for joining us in this most significant event in the lives of these men and our Corps. Since their arrival nearly 3 months ago, these young men of Company L have been addressed as recruit or private, but never as Marines. By successfully completing our demanding training, they have now earned the right to that title. As their battalion commander, I am proud to be the first to officially address them as Marines. Good morning, Marines. When you greet your new Marine in a few minutes, I'm certain you will notice some changes in him. He will undoubtedly be in the finest physical condition of his life. He will stand a little taller, and his hair will be a little shorter. More importantly, he will reflect confidence, confidence that comes from meeting a challenge. And he will reflect pride, a deep pride that comes from earning the title United States Marine. Everywhere he goes, the military men of every nation will recognize him as the finest fighting man this country can put in the field. Here at MCRD San Diego, we're in the business of making Marines, and we graduate over 20,000 Marines each year. Our training facilities are among the finest of their type anywhere in the world. And the individual most responsible for conducting that training is, of course, the legendary Marine Corps drill instructor, a highly trained and dedicated professional. At the conclusion of today's ceremony, we invite you to tour our facilities and to seek out and thank a drill instructor for his efforts in training your Marine. To the wives and the families of the officers and the drill instructors of Lima Company, I sincerely thank you for your continuing support to your Marine as he provides his most valuable and dedicated service. To the Marines of Lima Company, the great and illustrious heritage of our Corps, borne by many thousands of Marines in war and in peace, now belongs to you. Your responsibility to your country and to your Corps is great. Serve well, serve faithfully, serve honorably. Semper Fidelis.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in the graduation parade of Company L, 3rd Recruit Training Battalion. Following the pass and review, the graduating Marines will return front and center of the reviewing stand for final dismissal. The staff for today's parade is comprised of Marines from the Recruit Training Regiment. The commanding officer of troops is Major J.D. Gaylord, Executive Officer, 2nd Recruit Training Battalion. The parade adjutant is Captain D.S. Payton, Adjutant, 1st Recruit Training Battalion. Marching in today's parade are the 717 graduating Marines from Company L. Recruit training comprises subjects required to produce basic Marines who function effectively in garrison, are trained in rudimentary individual field and combat skills, and practice the personal and professional traits which distinguish them as Marines. Examples of these traits are discipline, the achievement of a state of discipline which assures respect for authority, instant willing obedience to orders, and the self-reliance to maintain or improve those traits which exemplify a Marine. Military bearing, consistently demonstrating military presence and personal awareness, as well as the proper wearing and maintenance of uniforms. Esprit de Corps, acquiring the common spirit of the Marine Corps that inspires enthusiasm, devotion, pride, initiative, teamwork, aggressiveness, determination, moral integrity, camaraderie, and the burning desire to work with and for others towards excellence and common goals. For the Marines of Company L, today marks the end of the 12-week recruit training cycle. They have marched countless miles at Camp Pendleton and on this parade deck, and have been trained, as are all Marines, as basic riflemen. In addition, due to an intensive physical training program, their strength and endurance have doubled since their arrival aboard the recruit depot. Today they are Marines, qualified to take their places in the ranks of the world's finest fighting organization. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. At the Command Officer Center March, all unit commanders and guidon bearers march through the front and center of the formation. Historically, it was at this point that commanding officers would issue orders and instructions to the unit commanders. Following this, the unit leaders would face about, return to their units, and pass the information along to their Marines. Throughout our nation's history, millions of men and women have earned the title United States Marine. Many who have helped shape our history join us here today. In keeping with the tradition, once a Marine, always a Marine, we would like to recognize them. At this time, we ask that those men and women in the audience that are former Marines, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in showing our appreciation for their dedicated service to Corps and country. Thank you. Please be seated. Now taking his position in the reviewing area is Lieutenant General Norman E. Ehlert, Deputy Chief of Staff for Plans, Policies, and Operations, Headquarters, Marine Corps, Washington, D.C. He is accompanied by Colonel J.M. Guerin, Commanding Officer, Recruit Training Regiment, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego. Lieutenant General Ehlert graduated from Drake University and was commissioned a second lieutenant in 1961. He was designated a naval aviator in 1963. Lieutenant General Ehlert's past duty assignments have included UH-1 Huey, AH-1 Cobra, and OV-10 Bronco pilot, Marine Observation Squadron 2, Republic of Vietnam. A-6 Intruder pilot, Marine All-Weather Attack Squadron 121 and 242. Executive Officer, Marine All-Weather Attack Squadron 533. Commanding Officer, Marine All-Weather Attack Squadron 121. Executive Officer, Marine Aircraft Group 13. Head, Programs and Budget Section, Aviation Plans and Programs Branch, Department of Aviation, Headquarters Marine Corps, Washington, D.C. Commanding Officer, Marine Aircraft Group 12. Commander, Forward Headquarters Element, and Inspector General, United States Central Command. Commanding General, 1st Marine Aircraft Wing. Commanding General, 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force, and Commander, Marine Corps Bases, Japan. He assumed his present duties in 1992. Lieutenant General Ehlert's military education includes the Industrial College of the Armed Forces. Lieutenant General Ehlert's decorations and awards include the Defense Distinguished Service Medal, Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit with Gold Star in lieu of second award, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Medal with Gold numeral 3 and Bronze numeral 43, Navy Commendation Medal, and the Combat Action Ribbon. Lieutenant General Ehlert and his wife Denise have 2 children, a son, First Lieutenant Chuck Ehlert, United States Marine Corps, and a daughter, Erin.
Thank you.
Please be seated. The Commanding General, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, would like to welcome the members of the Airborne Ranger Infantry Company Association, the members of the Drill Instructors Association, and Mr. and Mrs. C.G. Big. Ladies and gentlemen, as the national flag passes directly in front of you, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Commanding Officer of Troops, Major J.D. Gaylord, and the regimental staff. Conducted by Gunnery Sergeant S.R. Schweitzer, Drum Major Gunnery Sergeant J. Ringo. The series commander for the 3033 series is First Lieutenant E.L. Zellers. Staff Sergeant J.M. Gonzalez and Platoon 3033. Sergeant Y.A. Emery and Platoon 3034. Staff Sergeant Q.L. Brett and Platoon 3035. Staff Sergeant J.R. Jarman and Platoon 3036. The series commander for the 3037 series is Captain E.P. Crudo. Sergeant C.A. Hall and Platoon 3037. Sergeant L. Cantu and Platoon 3038. Staff Sergeant O.L. Weathersby and Platoon 3039. Staff Sergeant J.P. Ballard and Platoon 3040. The Marine Corps' uniqueness and strength as an elite fighting force is directly attributable to the magnificent efforts of the drill instructors and company officers that train and supervise their recruits. The distinct qualities of spirit and discipline, the heart and soul of every Marine, have been developed, nurtured, and ingrained in the recruits through their observance and relationship with their drill instructors and officers. Recruit training is the very foundation of the Corps. Each year, recruit training provides thousands of America's finest young men and women with the basic knowledge and skills to function in a profession characterized by its own set of high values and tough standards. For the young men graduating today, the long, arduous journey of the last 12 weeks is but a small step into the future of the Marine Corps. As they prepare to fill the ranks of our Corps, they do so with unquestionable support for the high ideals and standards of the United States of America and the United States Marine Corps. Although Company L prepares for their final dismissal from boot camp today, their initial training is not over. After a well-deserved 10 days of leave, these young men will report for Marine combat training at the School of Infantry, Camp Pendleton, California, where they will continue to be trained to serve as an effective member of a Marine rifle squad in offensive and defensive combat. The intense initial training that every Marine undergoes is designed to instill a fundamental premise that is best described in the words of the 30th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Carl E. Mundy, Jr. The sense that every Marine is a rifleman is at the heart of the ethos of the Corps. For all Marines, there is a constant, a sea anchor. Every Marine is a rifleman. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like to introduce to you the Marines responsible for ensuring the success of the difficult transition required to become a Marine. We request that the audience hold their applause until all of these Marines have been introduced. If you would look towards the center and to the front of the reviewing stand, the company commander is Captain Andrew M. Scott. The company first sergeant is Gunnery Sergeant Joe Gallegos. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would look to your left front, the series commander for the 3033 series is First Lieutenant Aaron L. Zellers. The series gunnery sergeant is Gunnery Sergeant John L. Sullivan. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3033 is Staff Sergeant Jose M. Gonzalez. He is assisted by Staff Sergeant Eugene D. Harless, Staff Sergeant Jorge Bagara, Sergeant Daniel D. Jonas, and Sergeant Ralph L. Tucker. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3034 is Sergeant Yancey A. Emery. He is assisted by Sergeant Timothy S. Vanderwalker, Sergeant Peter D. Torelli, Sergeant Jorge Lazoya, and Sergeant Edward D. Mishlow. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3035 is Staff Sergeant Quentin L. Britt. He is assisted by Staff Sergeant Kenny L. Thomas, Staff Sergeant Roy R. Meller, Sergeant Mark A. Parsons, and Sergeant David J. Bellick. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3036 is Staff Sergeant Javier R. Jarman. He is assisted by Staff Sergeant Michael W. Kidd, Sergeant Robert Guerra, and Corporal Derek E. Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would look to your right front, the series commander for the 3037 series is Captain Eric P. Crudo. The assistant series commander is First Lieutenant Kenny Luton. The series gunnery sergeant is Staff Sergeant Carlos J. Rodriguez. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3037 is Sergeant Christopher A. Hall. He is assisted by Sergeant Rufino Mendez Rivera, Sergeant Christopher K. Young, and Sergeant Clyde D. Johnson. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3038 is Sergeant Larry Cantu. He is assisted by Sergeant Tony L. Ratliff, Sergeant John S. Crane, Sergeant Brian E. Cullens, and Sergeant Robert A. Christopher. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3039 is Staff Sergeant Otis L. Weathersby. He is assisted by Staff Sergeant Joseph G. Schmidt, Sergeant Darrell J. Cisneros, and Sergeant David Bell. The senior drill instructor for Platoon 3040 is Staff Sergeant John P. Ballard. He is assisted by Staff Sergeant Scott M. Smith, Staff Sergeant Edward S. Fabini, and Sergeant Gregory L. Beck. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marines of Company L. The Commandant of the Marine Corps has established 5 requirements for completion of recruit training. In satisfying the requirements, Company L has accomplished the following: water survival qualification, rifle qualification, the final written and practical examination, the final physical fitness test, and the battalion commander's inspection. Although all Marines of Company L perform superbly, certain Marines clearly distinguish themselves as high shooters, most physically fit, and honor men. At this time, we would like to recognize those Marines who obtain the highest rifle qualification scores within their respective platoons. Rifle qualification consists of firing 50 rounds from ranges of 200, 300, and 500 meters for a possible score of 250 points. Please hold your applause until all of the high shooters have been introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would look to your left front, the high shooter from Platoon 3033 is Private Robert J. Brio from St. Amant, Louisiana, with a score of 235 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3034 and also the company high shooter is Private John M. Jones from Brownsville, Texas, with a score of 243 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3035 is Private Bill M. Taylor from Hazelhurst, Wisconsin, with a score of 240 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3036 is Private Travis R. Sawyer from Cresco, Iowa, with a score of 237 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3037 is Private First Class Timothy A. Wright from Auburn, Washington, with a score of 235 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3038 is Private Ricardo A. Favela from Amarillo, Texas, with a score of 241 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3039 is Private Saxon A. Norman from Dallas, Texas, with a score of 237 points. The high shooter from Platoon 3040 is Private First Class Robert J. Simmons from Albany, Oregon, with a score of 235 points. Ladies and gentlemen, the high shooters of Company L. The next group to be recognized are those men who have excelled in physical fitness. The Marine Corps Physical Fitness Test consists of 3 events: pull-ups, sit-ups, and a timed 3-mile run. It is possible to score 100 points in each event for a perfect score of 300 points. To achieve a perfect score, a Marine must accomplish 20 pull-ups, 80 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and a 3-mile run in 18 minutes or less. Please hold your applause until all of the most physically fit Marines have been introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would look to your left front, the most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3033 is Private Flavio A. Orellana Cruz from Littleton, Colorado. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3034 is Private First Class Lucas C. Hamilton from Palmdale, California. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3035 is Private First Class Michael A. Kennedy from Tacoma, Washington. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3036 is Private First Class Alexander Jane Ponsiglione from Poway, California. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3037 is Private First Class Matthew G. Turner from Poway, California. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3038 is Private Dewey R. Roberts from Harrison, Arkansas. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3039 is Private First Class Jared M. Cray from San Bernardino, California. Private First Class Cray is also designated the company's most physically fit Marine by virtue of performing 57 pull-ups, 103 sit-ups, and a 3-mile run in 18 minutes. The most physically fit Marine from Platoon 3040 is Private Eric F. Yellowboy from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. Ladies and gentlemen, the most physically fit Marines of Company L. The next portion of the ceremony will be the traditional function of retiring the guidons. The guidons have been carried by the platoons throughout recruit training and are being retired to symbolize the disbanding of platoons. All similar units in the Marine Corps carry such guidons, which identify the unit and are a source of pride to each individual member. Note that the honor of carrying these guidons is bestowed upon those Marines who displayed outstanding leadership qualities, motivation, and enthusiasm, and were selected as the platoon honor men. The guidons will now be returned to the drill instructors. The men standing before you are the platoon honormen. The honorman is recognized as being the most outstanding Marine in his platoon. The honormen are recognized for demonstrating the highest qualities of leadership, discipline, academic proficiency, and military bearing. The platoon honormen compete for the title of company and series honorman, which are considered the top men graduating today and have demonstrated the highest potential for future leadership and responsibility in the Marine Corps. Each honorman will receive a plaque from Leatherneck magazine, a magazine for and about Marines. The company honorman will receive a plaque from the Navy League in recognition of his being the top Marine graduating today. The honormen will be presented their plaques by the commanding officer of 3rd Recruit Training Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel L.B. Barnes, assisted by the Battalion Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major M.A. Durlack. Ladies and gentlemen, please hold your applause until all of the honormen have been introduced.
Sir, raise a word for present.
The honorman from Platoon 3033 is Private First Class Christopher W. Griffith from North Glen, Colorado. He was recruited by Sergeant A. Garcia from Recruiting Substation, Denver, Colorado. The honorman from Platoon 3034 and also the company honorman and top Marine graduating today is Private First Class Philip A. Rees from Barstow, California. He was recruited by Sergeant M. Picard from Recruiting Substation, Los Angeles, California. The honorman from Platoon 3035 is Private First Class Ryan W. Klein from Coppell, Texas. He was recruited by Corporal T. Crum from Recruiting Substation, Coppell, Texas. The honorman from Platoon 3036 is Private First Class Victor M. Bronner from Moreno Valley, California. He was recruited by Staff Sergeant M.L. Moss from Recruiting Substation, Moreno Valley, California. The honorman from Platoon 3037 and also the series honorman and top Marine graduating in his series is Private First Class Jason P. Justice from Spokane, Washington. He was recruited by Sergeant J. Ortiz from Recruiting Substation, Moreno Valley, California. The honorman from Platoon 3038 is Private First Class Darren M. Fisher from Wenatchee, Washington. He was recruited by Staff Sergeant A. Johnson from Recruiting Substation, Wenatchee, Washington. The honor man from Platoon 3039 is Private First Class Jared M. Cray from San Bernardino, California. He was recruited by Sergeant K.L. Grayer from Recruiting Substation, San Diego, California. The honor man from Platoon 3040 is Private First Class Evan W. Schwen from Sugarland, Texas. He was recruited by Sergeant D.L. Black from Recruiting Substation, Tyler, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the honor men of Company L. The Marines Hymn is the oldest of the official songs of the armed services, with words dating back to the 19th century. The music was first performed in November 1859. Marines always get on their feet when it is sung or played. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marines Hymn. The senior drill instructors will now dismiss their platoons. This will be the last order the new Marines will receive from their drill instructors, and probably the most welcome order they have received while in boot camp.